Episode 7. Off in the distance, waves crashed onto the Fukui shoreline. Saku and Mibu stood staring, collecting their thoughts after the day-long journey from Saosong. The gray skies cast a shadow upon the village. Saku breathed in the salty air. The rich scent of dry cedar and pine loomed, and this calmed her spirit. The vegetation around the village somehow looked drier than it had before she left. Neither of them could remember a time where the land looked like it did. The tea crops on the hillsides were browned and leaned heavily to one side. This was a sign that the water silo had failed to keep their crops alive. Our people are not ready for this, Mibu said, fidgeting with her bowstring. Nor am I. Saku bent down to rest her knees. But we have to convince them that the Northern Clan means to kill everyone. We can't let them suffer the same fate as Oni-chan. The forces will be here soon. We have to do what we have to do to stop the people from getting hurt. Her gaze turned to the village, which now looked so small and unimportant. You don't think he will keep his word, Mibu said. If we destroy the flowers, you don't think he will leave us alone? No, Saku said. We should have left the village. You should never have gone to the city, Mibu said. She cursed. She took a few steps away from the hillside and turned back in the direction of Saosong. Smoke still rose. As much as they both might have wished this, that they would have just left, they knew that was no longer an option. They reached for each other's hand, and tall, dead grass waved back and forth from a passing breeze. Saku smiled. The skull talk has put everyone in danger, Mibu said. A friend of yours died because of it. If the talk does not end, then I can't keep doing this with you. Please, Saku said. Don't do this. Not now. We have to try to at least meet Lord Niroku's offer, Mibu said. Flowers should be destroyed. Please, this is bigger than us. If there's a chance we can live in peace, we have to. There is no chance, Saku said. These clans thirst for power and will lie, cheat, and steal to get it. We saw it. All we need to do is find a way to show the village. But I need you on my side. You are my hope. One who can convince everyone. If these flowers are lost, so are our lives. Mibu's shoulders stiffened, which could be felt in Saku's grip. What you have become, Mibu said, is that which has been taught by everyone we have ever known to be wrong, deplorable, and a hindrance to our people's progress. And all of those, Saku said, were lies. Mibu let go of her hand. Saku hunched her shoulders. Rusu shook her head, along with most of the rest of the village standing in the open air at the temple. They put the village idiot in charge, she said. Saku's eyes turned away from her, back to the people who looked confused. Some scratched their heads. Others placed their hands on their hips in disbelief. That's some way to talk to their new leader, Kamo said from inside Saku's pocket. I'm hearing a lot of mumbling. Are they usually like this? I'm glad you didn't return to get help when we first met. We must destroy the flowers. This is easy, Rusu said, trying to raise her voice. Saku held out a hand and shook her head. You have no power here anymore, she said as loud as she could, addressing everyone who had gathered. I am your daimyo, the chosen leader of Saosong. We must join with them to defeat the North and their allies. They are no longer our conquerors. An older man in the crowd squinted and rubbed his neck. Should we check with someone first? This doesn't seem right. Mibu told them what she had witnessed, the people at the castle crying out, "Long live Tomodachi." Well, the same man said, which Tomodachi do they mean? A lot of us share that family name. It is I, Saku said in frustration. I am your leader. I am telling you that they are on their way and they mean to kill us all. We need everyone ready to fight as soon as possible. People gasped. That kind of talk is going to scare the children. Besides, we can't put together an army without the conqueror's approval, the old man replied. No, Saku said, fighting down her anger. She fought to keep her fist relaxed. I tell the conquerors what to do now. Maybe so, Rusu said. You might have fooled them, but you do not fool us. If you truly want to do what is best for us, you will at least listen to what we have to say. And I say, give them the flowers. Some people cheered in agreement. The Tamina clan of the north and the Hinashi of the northwest only want to take control of the tea market. I have heard these words from my own ears as the shinobi died cursing our people. They think somehow this will bring prosperity to the land. They then attack Sao Song after agreeing to peace talks. The Tamina cannot be trusted. Excuse me, the same old man said, raising his hand. The conqueror said the tea trade wasn't a big deal. This doesn't make any sense. It sounds like you want an excuse to run things. Chichao made a baffled noise from inside the pocket. Are they serious? Whoever controls the tea practically controls the country, especially if they opened up trade routes to world's far north. Saku found herself chuckling at this. She covered her mouth with her hands. Whom do you speak with? Rusu said. She moved closer. You look as if you are laughing at something in your pockets. Mibu stepped in front of Saku. That matters not, she said. What matters is the choice we make next. Rusu crossed to Saku and looked down in pure spite. There was nothing in you ever to value. There still is not. Again, I ask, whom were you speaking with? Saku began to pull something out of her pocket. Don't, Mibu said. They must know. Saku reached deeper. Mibu grabbed Saku's hands from in her pocket. Your hand is in my pocket, in front of everyone, Saku whispered. In a temple. I know, Mibu sighed, with her back to everyone. I'm trying to protect you from yourself. I need to tell my truth, Saku said, to protect you, to protect everyone. I don't need your understanding. I need you to listen. Mibu narrowed her brow and slowly, thoughtfully, removed her hand from Saku's pocket. Saku presented the duck skull to the villagers. People gasped. Some people in the crowd shrieked. She then presented them the owl eagle skull in the other. This is Kamo. She raised her left hand, and Fuchichao. She raised her right. The crowd was flabbergasted for a long while. I was forced to drink the tea against my will. Saku could hear the shifting and the uneasiness in the crowd. But since then, I can talk to the spirits within these bones. These are my friends. The powers are real. This is why Lord Yataku has fallen. Because of me. It can now be yours. If you restore tradition and drink the tea. She looked into the eyes of the people and then put the skulls back in her pockets. I can summon lightning if I get angry. I didn't know that when it happened. A disgusted cry rang out from the villagers. The same old man cried out, We aren't really going to listen to this nutcase, are we? A man rushed into the garden center of the temple. He turned to Rusu and reported, out of breath, A ship has arrived on the shore. The clan of the north is sending forces this way. We have spotted them in the forest. What do we do, Rusu? Rusu is not in charge, Saku said. I am. The man stared at Saku blankly. Is this a joke? Forces that could easily wipe out everyone in the village are approaching, and you're making a joke? She jokes not. An old, well-known woman by the name of Asta spoke. She is Saku, the daimyo of Sao Song, in Fukui. The man looked up at Saku. I am not bowing to you. No one asked you to do that, Kenji, Saku said. Please, someone, please, drink the tea. Destroy the flowers, Rusu said, and trade our useless tea to the north, from what's left of it that isn't brown. If you can talk to skulls and summon lightning, prove it. Show us. Asta nodded. It seems fair to me. You are asking us to drink poison. I can't summon it. I mean, I can. I can't control it. And I will not do anything to harm any of you. You aren't going to believe that skulls can talk no matter what I do. That's convenient, someone yelled. Ask Kamo a question. I will tell you his reply, Saku said, again pulling Kamo out of her pocket. People gawked. That's not going to work, Mibu said, shaking her head. Let us decide for ourselves. Saku took a step forward and raised her chin to speak. These flowers are all that remain of the true us. The people we used to be, the people we still are. We can relearn our past and tell our ancestor stories once again. We have been lied to our whole lives. Our people were not crazy. They were protectors of the wild. Our people have sworn an oath to the soil. It is time we will remember. A young boy shook his head. He looked to his mother. That's the crazy tea talking. I speak the truth, Saku said. She backed off and looked to the sky. She drew in a deep breath. She let it out. Mibu felt something static surge in the air. She looked around, trying to figure out where the feeling had come from. Without proof, Asta spoke, destroying the flowers is the sensible thing to do. If they kill us after, there is not much we can do. Our past or not, the conquerors have helped us grow beyond those years. Those are people of the past, not who we are now. I shall not destroy my flowers. Saku held the bag closer to herself. Asta noticed this. I will not destroy our history. That was our history, Asta said. This is ours now. Mibu, Saku said, tell them this is not the best for them. This is allowing the outside world to win. We must allow the past to teach us. Saku, Mibu said, biting her lip. I don't. Saku looked away from her. I know. I said I didn't need your understanding. It is not fair for me to ask this of you, of any of you. Is there no one who will drink this tea? Mibu, you, please. Mibu stepped back and hung her head. No one spoke. Saku slowly backed away from the people. Decide for yourselves. I appoint Asta to manage this affair. Talk it over, fast. Tell me what you decide. I then will consider your wishes. But I can see now, you do not understand. I will fight them myself. She turned and walked towards the shore as the shadow of a large sail cast over the village. On top of the wooden boat, on the top deck, sat a large castle. The northern clan's banners waved from all sides of the ship. Archers stood on raised platforms around the castle, holding their arrows high. Mibu cried out, Wait! Saku stopped. She turned around and touched her katana with her fingertips, her face flushed of all colors. Do not follow me if you do not believe me. Mibu did not move. I tried, Saku said. Dust kicked up behind her as she turned to leave the temple. With the crowd looking on, she walked away towards the warship. Forces holding yaris stood at attention on the soft coastal sand as Saku approached, alone. She fought the softness as she walked, struggling to get her feet moving the closer she moved in, until she arrived at where tide pools and waves had moistened the sand. That was enough for her to take a strong stand to face the clan of the north. She adjusted the Mizumano bag full of skull flowers around her shoulders. I have no advice on how to handle this fight alone, Fujichao said. This is far out of the scope of my knowledge. I am not alone, Saku said, looking at the weapons the men held. Not with you two. Really, Fujichao, Combo said. You don't know what she's going to do, with all that water around the boat and all. Okay, everyone, Saku said to her pockets. I'm off to die here, so if you could both quiet it down, that'd be great. You're not gonna die. Not if you keep calm, spread your wings, and... Oh yeah, you're not a duck. Sorry, Kamo said. I get what you're getting at, Saku said, smiling. Greetings, Lord Tomodachi, an old samurai spoke. I am Yoshio, an aide to Lord Noriko. You were indeed given time, though perhaps not the time you might have assumed. Will your village meet our demands? Yes, a voice said. Rusu approached, carrying a sack with 2 skull flowers poking out. Here they are. We agree to your terms. This is what we have decided. Mibu stood in the field nearby with others. I'm so sorry, Saku, she said, ashamed. The people of the village drew closer. Asta and Rusu were among them. They both approached Saku. She jolted back away from them. You cannot ask this of me, Saku said, looking into the eyes of her people. They seem like strangers now. People she no longer could communicate with. They would never have believed her. They were going to destroy everything without even trying to understand. Are the last of the skull flowers in your bag? Asta spoke. Yes, Saku said, facing her. Hand in the Mibu, Asta ordered. You don't understand what you're doing, Saku shouted. Mibu again felt static in the air. Everyone did. People shifted and looked around. Someone take them, Rusu shouted. She nodded to a group of men holding crude weapons. Mibu ran in front of the men. No, she said. The men tried to push aside Mibu, but she stood firm. If you do not give them to us, we have orders to attack. Make your choice, Yoshio said. There are other solutions to this. This can't be the only way, Mibu said. If you take a step forward, Saku said to the clan of the north, I will be forced to kill you. She held the palm of her hand on her sword. Turn back now and leave. A samurai reached for Saku's bag. Shield your eyes, she shouted. Her fist clenched hard. She gritted her teeth. She began to scream, but instead channeled that energy into her veins. The man leapt away from her, feeling the power in the air. Without making a sound, she looked to the gray sky. A lightning bolt split through the clouds and struck the warship's main castle. It burst into flames. Told you, Kamo said. Samurai leaped overboard, frightened. They joined the other forces on the shore, who began to move towards Saku. They surrounded her. She defended herself, blocking the men's attack. But the more they attacked, the harder it became. With all of her strength, she fought as the people from her village looked on. Mibu ran towards her, but was out of range to aid her. Please, she yelled, stop this. Don't make me do this. They did not. Another bolt cracked above them, striking many men. Other forces kept moving. Saku backed away, summoning another bolt on one of the raised platforms, hitting an archer before they could release an arrow. Flames on the ship grew. Men broke ranks and started running away from the village and from the battle. Some of the people of Fukui ran to take cover. Mibu rushed to Saku's side, releasing a shot that struck the last archer standing in flames. A samurai was in reach and took a stab at Saku. She blocked. With the blink of her eye, electricity came from the sky and was absorbed into the attacker's sword. The man instantly fell to the ground, lifeless. At the sight of this, the northern clan fled, running, scattered throughout the beach. Saku's eyes followed this, but her heart sank at the sight of the northern forces gathering on top of a hill from the other side of the village. I can't handle all of them, she said, seeing the pure number of samurai forces. She turned to the people hiding in the field. For those who wish me to lead you, head to the eastern water silo. Mibu ran with her towards the mountain slopes at the edge of the town, as did most everyone else, Rusu included. The villagers stood atop of the steep slope next to the water tower. They looked down to the northern clans who walked up towards the town. Release the water, Saku cried. The villagers rushed to the structure and began to open gates on the aqueduct, sending water gushing down the bamboo tubes onto the soil below. The northern clan stopped. Many of the men looking to their soaked feet. They looked back up in time to hear Saku summoning lightning nearby. "Stay back," she shouted to the warriors. Most began to retreat, but a brave few made their way up through the tea plants towards the top. She rushed down to meet them. With a swift motion, she struck a man's knee with the handle of a katana. He tumbled down. "Last chance," she screamed. "Leave now or else." Again, the men did not stop and marched upward. With a blink, she summoned lightning to the slope, dropping a multitude of men who had stood on the wet soil. But when Saku had called forth the thunderclap, some of the sparks had flown into the Mizumono bag, causing the flower petals to go up in flames. The bag burned. She threw it off and tossed it down. "No!" she cried towards the bag. Thunder struck it, ripping it apart. Saku screamed again, a scream that echoed in the air, which had suddenly smelled moist. A bright flash came right in front of Saku. A sudden crack rang out so loud that it sent everyone, friend and foe, to their knees. Everyone could feel the tingling in their bodies. She found the bag on the ground, in flames. "No!" Saku let out a death-curdling scream directed in front of her. She began to hit the ground. Thunder clapped. People shielded their eyes from all the flashing light. And then, for the first time in a long time, it began to rain. Giant raindrops fell to the ground. The thirsty soil quickly drank up as the rain grew heavier. The northern clan fled back in the direction of Sao Song. One man, one from battle in years, called out to the village, spitting angry. "We shall not forget this. This only gets worse from here." Saku kept looking at the ashes that used to be the bag. Her hair and garments were soaking wet. She cried. A stream of rain fell down the hill. Mibu walked to Saku and put a hand on her shoulder. "All is not lost," she said. "Trust me. I'm sorry I struggled to believe you. Also, please don't ever get mad at me." "They're gone," Saku said. "Trust me," Mibu said. "Can you get up?" She held Saku to her feet. They walked back together, up to the village. The rain continued to fall. The villagers returned to their homes, not sure if to celebrate or if to mourn. All except Saku and Asta. They stood back in the temple garden, looking over the tea shack where Saku had once loaded the tea to take to the conquerors. Rain beat hard against the longhouse roofs in the most wonderful, deafening way to those who had lived in drought for so long. Asta spoke, leaning on a fence that overlooked the pond, now filling with water. The North might not have been completely wrong in their demands. Does anyone in this world need that kind of power? The ability to end life is a force no one should have. Saku straightened up. You learned so much from speaking to the spirits. To fight was not an easy choice. One I made every attempt not to make, but Lord Niroko forced my hand. Saku looked up at the dark, cloudy sky. She went on. I had forgotten my favorite part when it rains. Everything is more green. All of the plants brighten up, like they had woken up on the right side of the bedroll. I think this power is still needed. Astra nodded. I am sorry that we did not believe, but it sounded so unbelievable. It went against everything we thought we valued. Forgiveness is a means of control. Though I am your leader, I do not wish to control you, Saku said. I will rule. I understand that I may not be popular with the village. They will learn to accept it. Dissolve the Relationship Approver Council. The people are free to love whoever is an adult. Dissolve the schools and teach the children something useful about living. I will need your input, Asta. I will listen to the people the best I can. For now, I must return with Mibu. Get the forces trained, and ready defenses. Send word to us in Sao Song if trouble comes. By bird if you must. I fear the North will not stay content for long. I shall do as you wish, Asta bowed. But as you said, this is going to be difficult for us. I fear Rusu will lead a resistance at some point no matter what you do. Some are thankful for what you have done. Others feel betrayed that you did not do as they wanted. There's a lot of work to be done, Saku said, but work on our terms. Someday, they will realize that I have shown them how special they are. Mibu heard a knock at the entrance of her home. She pulled back the bamboo sliding door. Saku stood with a heavy pack and a walking stick. She still had her katana on her person. What are you doing? Mibu said. I'm leaving. I'm going to find my friends, to make sure Oni-chan is buried. I came to tell you goodbye. You're not leaving without me, Mibu said. You didn't believe me. How can I be with you? Not after you did what you did, Saku said. Come inside. Mibu pulled Saku inside and shut the door. She walked across the dirt floor to a wooden box. She picked it up and handed it to Saku. What's this? She said. Open it, Mibu said. She slowly pulled the top of the box open that made a scraping sound. Her eyes widened. Suddenly she began to cry. Inside were 2 skull flowers. You did trust me, she whispered. But the 2 flowers that Rusu had were Asta's, Mibu said. That makes 4 skull flowers that have survived. I go where you go. Always. I will find a way to grow new skull flowers, in case any of our people are someday ready, if that is what they choose. Then let us find a way, Mibu smiled. The 2 left Fukui the next morning, to vibrant plants and fresh morning air. The sun rose, exposing a refreshed and thriving landscape. Where are we going to find them? Mibu asked, checking her bow. I don't know, Saku said, peeking in her pockets, checking on her skull friends. All I know, we head north. The end. Dear fellow cow watchers, thank you so much for listening to the series. If you've enjoyed this season of Cow's Audios books or want to say something about it, let me know. I think someday I'd like to write another Saku story. But for now, I'm not sure what's next, but be sure to come back and check here for more information. Until next time, good luck looking for cows out there.